What's going on, guys? Welcome to a full day of eating. I am just under 14 weeks out now, and this week is actually a deload week and a diet break. So training intensity has been dialed down and food has been dialed up, which has been nice. This is a week for us to just pull back on some fatigue. We'll get back into a new training block next week, and depending on how I feel at the end of this week, potentially continue with the increased food or go back down into dieting. So I'm going to show you everything that I eat today. So meal one, I've got 4 whole eggs, 125 mils of egg whites. There's some onions, capsicum, tomato in there, a little bit of low sugar barbecue sauce and sriracha sauce. I have 2 slices of bread. I weigh my bread because obviously not every slice is the same sort of size. This morning it was 94 grams. I choose sourdough just because one, I like the taste, and sourdough actually digests a little bit better as well. So I've allowed for 80 grams of sourdough, and it being 94 today, I actually calculate the difference and pull it away from one of my other meals, so I'm going to show you that later on. And then with that, I have 100 grams of pineapple. So just getting ready for the gym now, and I am actually going to inject some BPC 157. So BPC 157 is a peptide that is supposed to help with joints and also your gut lining. Personally, if I'm honest, I've taken this on and off over the years and I haven't really seen much of a benefit. So I don't recommend it. There's a lot of people that swear by it. I unfortunately had my knees flare up very recently, so I've just plugged it in to hope for the best. But personally speaking, I haven't really seen much of a benefit there. The second thing I'm going to inject is injectable L-Carnitine. So injectable L-Carnitine helps with shuttling fatty acids into the mitochondria, which essentially just means that it helps with fat burning and also can help spare muscle glycogen, which in turn does improve performance and possibly pumps. The reason why we inject it is it's a lot more bioavailable than the oral form. So the powder version has about a 20% absorption rate, obviously, as it passes through the digestion system, which the injectable L-Carnitine has about 100% absorption rate. Now, the thing with the L-Carnitine is the recommended dosage is anywhere between 200 to 400 milligrams, which is 1 to 2 mils of the injectable per day, which for me, I think is super impractical, which is why I don't really recommend it to my clients. I personally will take 0.5 per day, just like whilst I'm injecting like other things like BPC, I'll just throw the L-Carnitine in. The other thing to mention with L-Carnitine is that it doesn't have an acute effect. So you're not going to inject this, go do a workout, and you're just going to burn extra fat. You do need to build up your carnitine stores within your body, which, depending on how much you're using on a daily basis, may take weeks or months to even kind of top up. So again, it's not something that I recommend. The research is quite strong on it, but practicality, like 1 to 2 mils of this on top of everything else you probably need to inject as a bodybuilder is, again, like I said, impractical. For me, 0.5 mils per day is practical, so I just kind of stick with that and run with that on a daily basis. I'm also going to take my pre-workout with my morning supplements. The current pre-workout I'm taking is Faction Labs Disorder. This has been my go-to pre-workout pretty much throughout my whole off season. It is a great pre-workout. Good amounts of citrulline for pumps, nootropics in there like tyrosine, alpha GPC. The caffeine intake in it is really good for me. It has 250 milligrams per scoop. However, as I get deeper into prep, I have noticed that my scoops are getting a little bit bigger, and I think potentially I'll probably end up shifting towards pre-workout that has higher amounts of caffeine later on. But for the time being, that's what I take. In terms of my vitamins and minerals, I'm going to show you right now. Is a long list, as you can see here. All right, first thing I'm taking is some Anavar. So I'm taking 30 milligrams of Anavar per day at this point in time. We've just introduced this past week, with this being the diet break that I'm running with a little bit of extra food. Just a good chance for us to boost train performance really quickly. Now, Anavar does have a acute performance enhancing effect, so you want to take this probably like 2 to 4 hours pre-training. What am I doing? It being obviously an oral will help with like how fast it absorbs. So I think the plan will be just to run this for this little maintenance block that we're running, and then we'll pull it out. Obviously, if we were to like increase the injectables, it takes 2 to 3 weeks for that kind of build up into your bloodstream. So Anavar, plug it in really quick, get that boost in performance, and also helps with like your electrolyte balance, so you kind of see a bit of a drier look. Other supplements I'm taking, the over-the-counter ones, vitamin B complex, good for energy production, helps with activating the enzymes that absorb carbohydrates. Vitamin K2, which helps with bone strength, also helps with your cardiovascular and heart. K2 is actually really important to take with vitamin D. I think that most people know how important vitamin D is, but if you take the vitamin D without the K2, it doesn't help with the absorption of the D3, and that can actually be dangerous because the calcium deposits into the bloodstream rather than into the bones, which is where you obviously want it. So yeah, you need to make sure that if you're taking vitamin D, that you take K2 with that. Now, a lot of people are going to ask, like, can I get enough vitamin D from the sun? And yes, you can. However, right now it's winter in Melbourne, it's fucking cold, the sun's not really out. Typically speaking, if the sun was high in the sky, so it was a sunny day, you only need 15 minutes per day to get enough vitamin D. So what does that equate to? That equates to over 100 minutes per week. The thing is, it's actually been shown that most Australians don't even get 15 minutes of sun per day. You know, if you think about the typical office worker, wake up, get ready for work, drive to work. It's still early. They're inside all day long, 8 hours, 9 hours, and then it's 5, 6 p.m. Sun's coming down. They drive back home and they're not in the sun at all day. So most people are deficient of vitamin D. With that, I'm going to take vitamin C. I'm going to take some iron. So through blood work, we realized that my iron has been pretty low in the past, which is kind of surprising. Most males aren't deficient of iron. Women are typically deficient of iron, obviously just the time of the month, obviously they bleed and iron kind of exits them. But most males are aren't deficient of iron, but for whatever reason I am, which is strange because, again, as a male and as someone who has red meat every single day, you think I wouldn't be, but yeah, blood work showed that I was. So iron is in. Vitamin C helps with the absorption of iron, so you got to take those together. Typically speaking, if you get like an iron supplement, it comes with vitamin C, but this is a very specific type of iron which helps with how well it's absorbed in terms of like the quality of the iron. So I take those two separately. Obviously vitamin C as well, great for the immune system. Next one I take is curcumin. So curcumin is great anti-inflammation, so good for your joints, but also just good for overall oxidative stress. So oxidative stress is just a fancy word of saying like anything that's going to cause stress to the body. So, you know, whether that's psychological stress, whether that's like physical stress in terms of training, whether that's some sort of stress that's impacting the body, whether that's like toxins that you may be consuming, even the steroids that you're taking, they're all stresses on the body. So important to make sure that you are looking after that. Zinc, I take. Zinc, great for a lot of things, immune support, hormone production. If, you know, obviously I take steroids, but obviously if someone was gonna ask me like, what's the best thing to boost their natural testosterone, zinc would be on top of that list. And some good old fish oil. Really great for a lot of things. Supports the joint, anti-inflammatory as well. Helps with like the cell membrane layer. So all of your cells have a fat lipid layer around it. So if that lipid layer isn't healthy, it's going to be hard for things to enter into the cell. Obviously good for your lipid profile, so your good fats. Cool, that is all my over-the-counter supplements. So right now I'm going to take Dougie for a little bit of a walk. I normally take him for like 20-30 minutes, and then I'll come back, finish my pre-workout. I actually need to take Dougie to the groomers this morning, so I'll drop him off at the groomers. All right guys, so meal 2, this is my post-workout cream of rice. I'm gonna show you how I make it. I actually never really hugely liked cream of rice before in the past, until I made it this way, which I'm gonna show you. And now I absolutely love it. Probably a little bit too much because I'm eating it a little bit too damn quick at the moment, and I vacuum it down and leaves me hungry afterwards. But I've got 100 grams of blueberries, 100 grams of strawberries. If I can open this packet, there you go. Sweet. I'm just going to chuck that in the microwave for like 30 seconds since it's frozen. And I'm going to boil some water. Alright, so cream of rice I use is from Good Society Food Co. I much prefer this over like rice flour that you can buy at the supermarket. course, like the rice flour is a hell of a lot cheaper, but I just don't enjoy that floury taste. All right. So 100 grams of cream of rice, and I'm going to do 350 mils of boiling water. So you want to mix this up, either use a fork or a whisk. Give it a good little 30 seconds or so. Really make sure that it absorbs that boiling water. Then I'm going to microwave this for 1 minute. Get out my other ingredients that I'm going to use. All right. Does take a little bit of effort, guys, but it is so damn tasty. Microwave minute feels like forever, especially when you're filming too. So I'm gonna do a shitload of salt in here. So with my salt intake, I don't exactly measure it out, but I do try to keep it pretty consistent. With that salt intake just there, I do like 10 cracks. I know it's not super scientific, I'm not weighing it out or anything like that, but I just like to keep it as consistent as I can, but at the same time not have it so that it's super damn annoying having to, you know, weigh it out. There's a fine line between like super optimal and you know, what's kind of practical, and what's practical for me is just cracking it roughly 10 times and keeping that consistent every single day. All right, so stir that into the cream of rice there. Like that's the consistency. I don't know if you can see that of the cream of rice. All right, so I whack my berries on top. They're still kind of like semi-frozen. Obviously the 30 seconds wasn't long enough, but when I chuck it on top of that like boiling hot cream of rice, obviously that's gonna continue to thaw out the frozen berries, and the frozen berries will help cool down that steaming cream of rice. Now, the next bit is the game changer. So I used to chuck my protein powder straight into the cream of rice, mix it up, but with the hot cream of rice and like the powdery whey protein, it just starts to get like chalky or gluggy. I don't know really what to how to explain it, but I didn't really like it that way. So what I make is a bit of a whey protein glaze. I'm using Rule 1 protein powder at the moment. This is a strawberries and cream flavor. Going on a bit of a strawberry craze at the moment. So I use 60 grams of this, and yes, I weigh out my protein powder. Couple of reasons why. is like most of the time, like when you have a look at the scoop, like on the nutrition facts, it says like one scoop's like 30 grams, but then you actually take one scoop out, you put it in, and it's completely different. So I want to be as accurate as I can with it not being too annoying. To make the glaze, the whey protein glaze, it's a little bit of a less than like a 1-to-1 ratio. So for 60 grams of whey protein, I'm probably going to do like 45 to 50 grams of just water. If anything, just go on like the lower end with the water, because you want, ideally you want to be able to make it nice and thick. If you use too much, it's like gets all runny and shit, and it's not nice. So that was about 45. Let's see how that goes. So with this, like, give it like a good stir. Like, you're probably going to think initially that when you first start stirring it that there's not enough water, but if you just continue stirring it, it'll start to mix in properly with the whey protein, and you get like this thick strawberry glaze afterwards. You also get a nice little forearm pump as well. Alright, set that off to the side. Alright, almond butter on next. So best way to measure almond butter is chuck the almond butter on top, tear it, and then take out your almond butter. So you wouldn't put the bowl on top and then try to put the almond butter from there, because if you chuck the almond butter on top and it sticks to the spoon, then you use too much. So I got 25 grams of almond butter. I'm just gonna drizzle that over the top somewhat evenly. Doesn't really matter too much, to be honest. Alright, I'll lick this because can't waste any gains. So good. And then drizzle this bad boy. Oh, look at that thickness. It's going to drizzle that over the top. Use that spoon to get the rest out. Alright. And then I'm just gonna stir that around. I don't know if you can see it. So spread it across the top like it's a cake or something. Alright. Then I'm going to throw some cereal on the top. Now I'm putting a very, very sad 5 grams of cereal. Yeah, 5 grams. And the reason why is I normally have 15 grams, but as I mentioned this morning, I weighed the sourdough bread and it was supposed to be 80 grams of sourdough, but it ended up being, I think it was 94 grams off memory. So I subtract the calories that I had extra in that sourdough from the cereal, which again just leaves me a very sad 5 grams, but it is what it is. I've been having these long enough that, like, literally 1 gram, one of these is like 1 gram. So I got 5 sad pieces of cereal on top. But then this is the game changer: sea salt flakes on top. I love salt. Salty and sweet goes together, and this is with the flakes. It just adds like an extra bit of like texture to it. So I do about 3 pinches. I know, not super scientific, but again, that's as consistent as I need it for this time of being. Obviously, like towards the end of prep where we're peaking a little bit, we can start to measure it. But for now, I still like to keep it consistent, not super anal. 3 pinches is enough to go. So this is the end product. Doesn't look super appetizing when I show you like this, to be honest, but like you just get all this goodness layers. You got the cream of rice down the bottom, you got the berries, the glaze, strawberry glaze, and then the salt, get a little bit of crunch with that. The cereal, oh mate, delicious. All right, I'm gonna delete this within like 5 minutes. All right guys, so preparing meal 3 now. It is going to be 350 grams of rice. It's definitely a nice amount of food. I'm also having 150 grams of cooked extra lean beef mince. 100 grams. Cool. Perfect. So I've cooked that beef mince in a special sauce that I've made. It's kind of like a makeshift pad krapao. It's like a Thai dish. Obviously a bit of a healthier version. Still trying to get the recipe right for that marinade. I think I've added a little bit too much water into it, but it's basically soy sauce, dark soy sauce, garlic, some ginger, some stevia, some sambal, which is like garlic chili paste, and some water. Like I said, I think I've definitely added too much water because the usual recipe has like cornstarch in it, which then kind of like thickens up the marinade, but I didn't want the cornstarch just because of extra calories. So it is a little bit watery, so definitely next time I'm going to use less water. With that, I'm gonna have 125 grams of green beans. Make sure to eat your veggies, guys. It is like the one thing that I have to get on top of all my clients about. That's 123, close enough. And then I'm just gonna sprinkle more. Hopefully I don't get this everywhere. More of this sauce on top. So with a little bit of effort, guys, like you can still have like pretty flavorful meals. Most of the ingredients that are in this marinade are virtually no or very little calories. You know, soy sauce is a staple for me. I love soy sauce. I like that salty, umami flavor, and it has virtually 0 calories. Cool. All right, so gonna chuck some cling wrap onto that and then into the microwave to heat that up. Cling wrap obviously just helps it heat up properly. It doesn't explode all in the microwave. There you have it, guys. Meal 3. Lean beef mince, rice, green beans, and my little homemade sauce that I made. Simple, yet delicious. So last meal of the day, my beautiful girlfriend is making me some hủ tiếu, which is like Vietnamese style rice noodle soup. So basically, we've been using this as the soup base. You can get this from like the Asian supermarket. Per serving in this, if that wants the focus, it's very low in protein and fats, has 9 grams of carbs in it, which I have tracked within my calories. So with that, I have 150 grams of this rice noodles. I also use 125 grams of this sous vide chicken breast, 75 grams of prawns, and then with that, spring onions, that's the soup base my girlfriend's using. There's some bean sprouts on that side, and also some fish sauce and chili. I'll show you the end product. This is Dougie's dinner, the little brat. He gets chicken breasts, spotlight potato, and carrots. Eats better than most people, and he's still fat and hungry. Alright guys, that is the end product right there. Adding that soup over the top. Such a good tasting meal to have, especially when it's cold as shit here in winter. Doesn't even feel like I'm dieting, to be honest, when my girlfriend makes some delicious meals like this. Alright guys, to round out my night, a little bit of a dessert, 100 grams of frozen strawberries, 100 grams of mango. Nothing too exciting, but it's nice to finish off with something sweet. And obviously making sure I get my fruit intake in. Like I mentioned, that is the end of the day. Total calories for today is 3,320 calories, 225 protein, 470 grams of carbs, and 60 grams of fats. Hope you guys enjoyed my full day of eating. Make sure to like and subscribe for more.